All right, students, this brief video lecture is going to talk about metrics. So we're talking about digital advertising, and metrics is a broad term that basically refers to analyzing the results of your efforts. And the two specific metric terms that I want to focus on out of this lecture for digital advertising is return on ad spend, ROAS, and break-even cost per click. So you'll have more detail on these two terms in your lecture slides. And there's 3 lectures for this week's module. But in an overview, when we talk about metrics, some of the common terms that we use are cost per click, which can also be referred to as CPC, cost per lead, how much did it cost to actually generate that customer's contact information, and cost per conversion, which is actually getting a sale from that customer. So in the digital space, when we have websites and we're pushing out content and we're using social media sites to connect with customers, there is a flow-through rate. And in the online world, we might advertise to a very large audience. We get a few that actually give us a lead. They give us their contact information, and usually that's an email address. And then we get even a lesser amount that actually purchase a product. So one of the things you'll see from the other lectures is that you can determine. But say, for example, you had 100 people who clicked on one of your ads. So there's something that they see on Facebook or a different social media platform, and they click on that ad. At that point, when they've clicked on the ad, you as an advertiser, as a marketer, have paid for that click. That's the cost per click. That's the point at which the social media platform, Facebook, whoever, gets your money. So that ad might be running as a sidebar on somebody's page, but until they click on it, you don't pay. So one of the advantages of digital marketing and digital advertising is that you don't pay until the prospect actually engages with your ad by at least clicking on it. So maybe you have 100 clicks, and maybe you're paying a cost per click of $1 per click, and you had 100 clicks, so you spent $100. Out of those 100 clicks, let's say 10 of those, or 10%, 10% of 100 being 10, only 10% of them actually, after they've clicked on your ad, end up giving you their email. Once they click on your ad, social media, post, whatever, they're probably going to be redirected to one of your landing pages on your website, a sales page. And that sales page is going to have something along the lines of, hey, give me your email or sign up for my program for free, and I'll give you this webinar, or I'll send you out this streaming video, or give me your email and I'll give you my top 3 tips on how to lose weight. So all of that is in the broad realm of content and what we also call as link bait, but you're trying to get the customer to give you their email so that you can then market to them directly. So when they give you your email, they have opted in. We call that permission marketing. They're giving you permission to market to them now because they've provided you with their contact information. And usually that's an email. Out of those 100 clicks, maybe 10% opt in. And that gives you 10 actual leads. Whereas now I have that customer's email address, and I can market to them directly. I'm not reliant on Facebook or a different social media site to get traffic from them. Out of those 10 people who actually sign up for your newsletter or your free video or whatever, they're now consuming some of your content, your free content, and you're hoping that at some point they're actually going to purchase something. Maybe out of those 10 people, 10% of your original 100, maybe out of those 10 people who actually signed up for your free content thing, maybe one of them buys. And that would be, again, 10%. 10% of 10 would be 1. So you had 100 people who clicked, 10 people who opted in and gave you an email, and one of them purchased, right? So that final step is called a conversion. That's an actual sale. So with these met with these three figures, cost per click, cost per lead, and cost per conversion, you can determine your return on ad spend. And the ROAS is basically saying, for every dollar of advertising that I spend, how much am I getting back in sales? And if you had a return on ad spend of 1, that means for every dollar of advertising I spend, I get $1 of sales back. You're breaking even. You're not making any money. You're not losing any money. If you had a return on ad spend below 1, like say 0.5, for every dollar of advertising I spend, I get 50 cents of sales. Well, that's bad news, right? Because that means you're negative. So a return on ad spend should be greater than 1, right? If you had a return on ad spend of 2, for every dollar of advertising that I spend, I get $2 back in sales. That's good. Now, you can look up with some Google searching what are the standard return on ad spends for different industries and even products. But that's part of this process with metrics, is understanding return on ad spend. That's one of your learning objectives out of this chapter. So you'll learn more about this when you go into the lecture slides, and it'll give you some scenarios for you to calculate return on ad spend. And it's basically your sales divided by your ad cost. The second metric that you're going to be diving into is your break-even cost per click. So here's what's different about digital advertising versus traditional advertising. And when I say traditional advertising, I'm talking about TV, radio, print. These typically have a static ad cost, meaning when you negotiate your deal with the magazine or with the TV station, they're going to tell you you're going to run X number of ads and each ad is going to cost X. There's a specific price that you pay. It's a static price. With digital advertising, you are competing with other advertisers to get your ad placed on that. Learning about Google earlier lecture. So in other words, you have a bid range, meaning you're willing to pay a cost per click of from here up to here, right? But you don't want to spend a cost per click that is going to make your return on ad spend go negative. In other words, you don't want to spend more on advertising than you're getting back in sales. You might be getting sales, great, but you're spending more in advertising than you're getting back in sales, which ultimately means you're going to go out of business. So part of that is understanding what is my break-even cost per click, meaning I can't pay above this on my cost per click or I will be losing money for my product. So the second part of your metric lecture slide is going to explain how to run the break-even cost per click. And again, because you're in a bid range with other advertisers, that's an important piece to know so that you don't go negative with your advertising.